Yo, what is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Excited to be back here for week 16 picks and predictions. Last week we had another solid week, going 10-5 for my straight up picks. We still have 2 Monday night games to go, obviously, so hoping to get to like 12-5 on the week. That would be really cool. But our season total is now 148-76, which is about a 66% win rate on the season, so we're not too mad about that whatsoever. We've got a really good slate of games here this week. Obviously, no teams on bye. So let's get into the first Thursday night game, or the only Thursday night game, the Broncos at the Chargers. This is a game that I would stay away from. The number is -3 Chargers. Herbert's going to be banged up in this game, so you don't know how that's going to look. I don't think the interior offensive line for the Chargers is all that good, and I don't think that they're going to be able to protect all that well against this really good Denver defense. So I think that the Chargers can be exploited in terms of that. But Bo Nix, we saw him kind of struggle last week as well. He had a bad week versus the Colts, threw 3 interceptions. I think he's a little bit overhyped. So in this game is going to be interesting. Who do you trust more to score more points, Bo Nix or a banged up Herbert with not many weapons? But both defenses here are great. They're physical. They're well coached with Herbert and Peyton. So it's really a close call, but I do lean Chargers in this game, especially at home. Then you have the Steelers at the Ravens. That's the next game I want to talk about here on Saturday. The number is Ravens -6.5. Obviously, the Steelers have the Ravens number. They've beaten them the last 4 matchups, so that's something definitely to take note of. But the Steelers are coming off of a physical loss to the Eagles. The Ravens, they obviously just played the Giants, which I consider a pretty easy game. And sure, I think the Steelers' defense is better this season, much better than the Ravens' defense. But I just trust the Ravens to score more points here, have more output, get rolling. Russell Wilson, I think, is going to struggle a little bit, especially if Pickens is out for this game. So that's up in the air. But I like the Ravens in this game. I think they split this season, the Steelers and the Ravens. So give me the Ravens -6.5. Now let's get into the Browns at the Bengals. The number here is Bengals -7. And I'm going to take that. I like that number. I think that the Bengals can do that. I think that the Bengals defense has been bad all season. We saw it continue to be bad last week versus the Tennessee offense. But to me, just Burrow is playing super well right now. Besides Josh Allen, he's probably playing the best football right now as a quarterback in the league. And then on the Browns side of the ball, we saw Winston get benched last week. To me, also, the Browns don't really have much protection in terms of the offensive line. So I think that, that can be exploited a little bit. Not that the Bengals have a great defensive line, but nonetheless. And then obviously the Browns are dealing with some injuries as well. Obviously Chubb is out, and then Myles Garrett is kind of up in the air. I know he's banged up. So I like the Bengals in that spot. Then we move on to the Lions at the Bears. You're looking at the Lions -6.5. The Lions defense is really banged up. Last week, even more injuries to that defense. So that's something to take note of and be worried about. But I think that becomes more of a problem versus elite offenses like the Bills, like other teams like that, not necessarily the Bears here. And to me, the Bears defense has been suspect all year, especially their front seven. So I think that they can be exploited. The Lions offense has managed to stay healthy even though the defense has really gotten banged up. So I think that they're going to be able to put up points against this Bears team and kind of get away from them. The number here is -6.5 Lions, and I think the Lions want to put up a better performance than the last one they did versus the Bears. So give me Lions -6.5 there. Now let's get into a game that I really love the number on, Rams -3.5 in the Rams at Jets game. The Rams, to me, are probably my favorite to win the NFC West. This is a team that's beaten some good teams throughout the season, like the Bills and the Vikings, and they're 7-2 in their last 9 games, the Rams are. So I think that there's some really impressive stuff there. You look at the Jets, sure, they beat the Jaguars, and Rodgers in the offense looks a little bit better in the past few weeks. But to me, the Jets are just still a sloppy team. They're a bad they're a poorly coached team, bad on game management, and I think that they're going to struggle against this Rams defense that has been playing better. It's a different looking defense for the Rams. Obviously, no Aaron Donald, no Jalen Ramsey, no stars like that. But you got guys like Fisk and Verse who are really good, and this is just a cohesive unit. Just in terms of the coaching matchup for this game, you got to love McVay. So give me the Rams -3.5. I really like that number. The next game here, we have the Eagles at the Commanders. The number on this is Eagles -3. This is another one that I kind of like. This to me is the point in the season where Cliff Kingsbury kind of clenches up, kind of falls apart a little bit as a coach. So we'll see if that continues to happen. But I still think that the Commanders are kind of a year away, especially in terms of beating a team like this. And to me, right now, the Eagles might be the number one team in the league, top to bottom. Their defense has been playing amazing. They have young pieces on defense. They have just a collection of great players. Hurts is playing really, really well. We saw him play one of his best games last week. And then, of course, you can't forget about their weapons with Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown, now Saquon. So there's just so many ways to hurt you. I really like the Eagles in this one to kind of get away from the Commanders. You know, the last time these two teams played, Barkley, Gainwell, and Hurts had over 200-plus yards rushing, so that the Commanders are going to struggle with that again, and they're going to have to contain that. I think the Eagles have only gotten better. The one thing I will say is sometimes the Eagles start games slow. They didn't last week, but it's worth noting. Maybe if the Commanders can do that and get ahead quickly, things could be different in this game. But I really like the Eagles in this game. I think they're rolling. And then they also have an easy remaining schedule, so I think that helps them getting into the playoffs and all that. So the last two games I'll quickly mention is the Vikings at the Seahawks. I really like the Vikings in this one. I think that they're playing really good football. The offense just looks really, really good with Sam Darnold. I think that Kevin O'Connell and that coaching staff is doing a fantastic job. And the Seahawks, I think they're just kind of in a tough spot. Geno Smith is going to be banged up. I don't know if he's going to be in this game or not. Obviously, we saw Kenneth Walker get banged up as well, the running back for the Seahawks, a couple of weeks ago. So I think they're dealing with some injuries. I know their defense is good and it keeps them in games. And this is going to be in Seattle. Granted, I don't think that this Seattle home field advantage is as good as it was in years past. But I really like the Vikings in this one to continue winning. Obviously they're motivated, being in a really good division with the Lions and the Packers. So give me the Vikings to continue winning there. And then the last pick that I really like is the Bucs -4 versus the Cowboys. Obviously, the Buccaneers had a really impressive win versus the Chargers. They have so many weapons on offense, and Baker Mayfield is really playing good football. He has a nice moxie to him. I just really like his style of play. He's a really physical player, and I think that guys really rally around him. And I think that this coaching staff is doing a good job turning this around for the Bucs. I could see them winning the NFC South. I expect them to win out. They have the Cowboys, the Panthers, and the Saints. So I like them to win out and get into the playoffs. So give me the Bucs -4 there. I really like that number as well. So thank you guys for watching. You guys can find the rest of my picks, my straight up picks, down in the description box below. And I'll be back next week for more picks. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys later. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'm out of here. Peace.